begin the meeting?
It's recording.
Okay, very well. Good night to everyone. Again, happy holiday to everyone. Hope you enjoyed your holiday. And continue to enjoy your holidays. So we're just going to call this meeting to a start. And we would just like for everyone to introduce themselves in whatever order. Doesn't make a difference.
Good evening, Hazel Martinez.
Good evening, Audrey Henderson.
Good evening, Kathy Lavelle.
Good evening, George Tate, board member, committee member.
Monica McCain Brown, committee member.
Ms. Lavelle?
Yes.
Yeah. You could introduce yourself. Everyone introduce themselves.
Okay, Kathy Lavelle, committee member.
Okay, very well. And I am Chair Ozzy Lewis, Public Safety and Transportation. And so I don't see we have quorum. So we have to, push the minutes down the road again. And so at some time, hopefully, if not next month into the new year, we could get quorum so that we could ratify the minutes from September to now. And we will hopefully be able to do that in the next meeting, hopefully. To begin with the chair's report, several items in specific in terms of safety, in terms of scams, and whether it's email or online. I have looked at several warnings, public safety warnings through the TV, through the internet, and it just telling people just be mindful of the different scams. In particular, people calling you about you owing the IRS and paying money. The IRS doesn't do things like that. Other things in particular, be mindful with Amazon packages. There is a certain scam that looks like an official Amazon email. Say you have a missing package or they want to update your information. Be very mindful of that. If you are not on the Amazon website, then you should not be looking through an email or a text message stating you need to update the information. More than likely it's a scam. And if you look at where it's coming from one of these Eastern European countries. English is the second language, so there's misspelled words, misspelled language, so you know that's not a good thing. So I just want everyone to be very mindful of these different type of scam, because this is the time in which all of these things start to come down on a regular basis. And if you're not careful, even with the scanning of your cards, your debit card, your credit card, be very careful. If you're applying for credit in these stores and they ask you for any personal information, they don't need that. So you know something is wrong. So just pay attention to those things. Be very mindful of those things and kind of make sure that you are not somebody that's being taken advantage of, or your family. Secondly, again, I'll go back to express safety and the concerns that we spoke about all the way in, I think, September, October, about using the right official taxis, Ubers, even the dollar vans, if they don't have official decals, if they don't have licenses shown and stuff like that, you're potentially putting yourself in a very hazardous situation. If there's an accident, you will receive nothing from that accident. So, you're looking at the green cars, yellow taxi cabs, the Lyft, Uber drivers, official decals. You could see the information. The licenses is displayed, all those things. If you're looking at a dollar van, it has a New York commuter sign on the side, or supposed to be on both sides. That is an official licensed registered vehicle that if there was an issue, you can go to. There's a couple precincts, a couple areas that deal with lost items or whatever the case may be. You can have an opportunity to retrieve it from these officially licensed registered vehicles. So that's the main thing I think that we should really look at in terms of the public safety. In terms of transportation, one of the main things is IBX, and IBX is the Interborough Express. And there is a meeting that is coming up on the 30th, which is Wednesday. It's I believe it's in Sunset Park, if I'm not mistaken, and that is an meeting that Alison Martinez will be at with her organization. She was the one that shared the information in the first place. So if you can attend, if you want to learn more about this project and how it will affect our neighborhood, and what's the ways of being engaged, it'd be good to go out and see that, and just encourage Alison and her organization also as a support. Other things in transportation. Right now, overall, we know that there's several severe budget cuts, and there is, in particular, I think, with the public safety again, there is about 2 or 3 or 4 classes of police officers that will not be the academy will not be taking on anybody or actually promoting anybody as it is right now. So these budget cuts, and then in the schools with public safety also, the safety officers in the schools, they're not hiring new public safety officers in the school. There was a comment made that Adam said parents should think about volunteering themselves to protect the school, which is kind of far-fetched, and it's kind of crazy you would say something like that, but based on the migrant situation, this is some of the effects of what's happening. So that really ends my report. I see a hand. Mr. Tate?
Yes, but I think Hazel had her hands before. Did you put it down, Hazel? Because she had it down before me.
I just wanted to make a comment about the minutes because first, I don't see my name on as attending the meeting. It's not even anywhere there. And the other thing is, the format I have, at least, it's not really readable.
Right. So more than likely, it's not a readable format. It will be more of a MP3 or MP4. What do you call it again? Audio format, because now, according to the rules stated by the the Brooklyn Borough President's Office, the recording in the MP4 format or audio format is really the one that we could use to do. So if it's transposed into a written, I don't know if that is it. That might not be done anymore because it's not a necessity. So what we'd have to do is kind of get the audio files in a way that everybody has access to it.
Before I get into what I really wanted to talk, I don't know, with all due respect, I do believe that what they mean by keeping the audio is that you have to keep that the tape intact, but the minutes are like basically a summary of that that tape, which is normally what goes to the committee members and the other board members, and then they have to keep the tape intact in case
No.
Borough Hall or somebody wanted. Because when I was secretary, I remember that's what we had to do. We had to transcribe it, but we had to keep it intact in case Borough Hall wanted to look at it. Because quite frankly, it's very difficult for the layman like us to be looking through that whole tape and be able to decipher anything of the faith. And not everybody has the technical knowledge or ability to do that.
Right. So, again, that was the way before. From my understanding of what I was told, they don't have to transcribe it anymore. The provision of the MP4 file or the audio file is what is necessary, the requirement now. This is my understanding. I'll get some clarification from Ms. Frazier to make sure of that, but that was something that was originally discussed, I think, since September, October in the executive meeting, and this was what was actually stated from Brooklyn Borough President's Office, that they no longer have to transcribe it, just have the MP4 file and provide that.
Hey, so this is related to what we're discussing now. So you put your hands back up before I get started.
Yes, because then I don't see the need for us to actually approve anything, because most people will not have been able to read or reflect on what was said.
Well, I mean, if the file is something that is not, that you can't click and open it, just the same way like how you'd have a PDF file and you click and open it. If it's not able to do that, then we'll have to get the files to be able to do that. But it's no different than opening an email and clicking a PDF file. It's supposed to be that easy, but if it's not, then we'll have to get the correct file or the correct type of file so that you could open it on the computer.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Now going back to what I really wanted to piggyback on what you mentioned about the scams, as those emails and so forth, as I've been inundated with them. I don't know if any of them, thank God. But aside from what you mentioned, they have one coming from the supposedly coming from the post office. I began to a lot from the post saying that you have a package that we cannot deliver.
Hold on a second.
Yes, yeah.
Miss Lavelle, could you mute, please?
Okay, I'll mute. Joni, you have to.
Yes, because yes, I get an email and text message saying that I have a package at the post office that it cannot be delivered. I know it's not true, because I get my daily email from the post office is what's coming. Okay, so I get that maybe twice a week, including Sunday. That's one. It's also coming from FedEx and saying the same thing in an international package that I need to click. I click on the link, and then the third one that I've been getting a lot is from different stores saying that I earned certain points, like for instance the Lowe's, but Lowe LOWE, saying you have you won this because of your what you call it your points, and I also about four different stores coming with the same thing that I have enough points to earn this. Click here. So be careful with those. So those are the four things I've been getting a lot of over the last 2 weeks. So just wanted to let you guys know about that.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Tate.
Okay. So, but I do have a couple of kind of complaints. I don't know if this is the right time for it or.
Not we will put that towards the end
Yeah.
for
Okay.
for new business.
Yes. Yeah.
I do not see anyone from NYPD on tonight. So we'll have to forego that. We were supposed to have a special presentation by one of our liaisons from the fire department. I don't think that post was on, and that's the reason why we moved the meeting to accommodate her for the special thing, in particular with all of the different issues that might be experienced, especially when it comes to electrical fires and heaters, and the doubling and the tripling of the extension cords, pluggable extension cords. So well, what I will do is just we could have an open discussion on those items. I was trying to have it before because I don't know of the folks who fry turkeys or do anything with frying with oil, with all these different things. I was trying to set up something to really, put us in the right frame of mind, but I don't know if our guest is on tonight. So if not, I could just give a little synopsis on that safety in particular because I'm a licensed electrician for New York City. I would tell everybody, if you are plugging into extension cords and you have the 6-port or the 8-port module, and then you jumping it to another 8-port or another 6-port module, don't do that. Those are some of the leading cause of electrical fire, because basically what you're doing is that you're compounding, and if these outlets do not have a fuse or a breaker on it, all you're doing is just compounding, adding extra stress on the electrical wiring in your house. And for the most part, if you have not done an electrical upgrade in your house, most of your wires, most of the stuff is very old, cloth wiring. You could be setting yourself up for electrical fire. And the bad part about it is that a lot of the times it would seem electrical fires take the most unopportune times to happen. It's either it happens while you're sleeping in the night or when you're not at home, right? And you can't do anything. You don't know what to do. So my advisement is, if you don't have enough plugs or you don't have enough outlets in a specific area, move the devices over. All of the chargers that we have now, for the most part with the newer phones, are fast chargers. Those chargers charge up to 5 amps. So if you're charging 2 or 3 devices on a 20 amp breaker, you understand what I'm trying to say in terms of overloading the circuit and potentially creating an electrical fire. When it comes to the electric heaters, the same thing goes. A lot of the time, people want to jump and they want to have 2, 3 electrical heaters in a room. And I could understand it's cold, especially tonight, where we have now getting into the cold season in terms of feeling some of this below freezing weather. Be very mindful with that. If at all in your power, take it off before you go to sleep. Might mean you might have to get a couple heavy blankets, heavy covers, or whatever it is. But it is not advised to keep that on throughout the night on these electrical things, and you're not monitoring it because you're sleeping. There's always around this time of the year, you hear about different scenarios where people are lighting their stoves to keep warm, falling asleep, paper, something happen, fire catch. All of these things are things to be mindful of. If you are having an issue with heating, if you're living in an apartment building, if you think there are numbers to call to get direct help, 311. And from the time I believe you state you're in a place where you have no heat, that goes into a separate file in terms of 311 responding to it and having somebody come out there. Whether it's an issue with Department of Buildings or whatever happening, somebody will come out there. But they really are very big sticklers for people that say that they don't have heat because of all of these issues with fires and so forth that has happened with people doubling and tripling up on these electric heaters or turning on the stoves for heat when there's no heat in their buildings or apartments and so forth. So these are things to be very careful of, be mindful of. Pay attention also to the same thing. All of these lights for Christmas and all these different things, the doubling up and tripling up of cords. I'll keep stating that because some of us have a habit not being aware of it, but we do it because some of us might live in some of these older homes that are not really code compliant based on the length of the extension cord being, or the length of the appliance being 6 feet. So you might have an outlet every 12 feet or 14 feet, and we put all of these additional things to put plugs on that are not really that safe, and they really could cause you a problem. So I think these are some of the things to pay attention to during this time. Does anyone have any comment on that in particular, electrical safety throughout the home, or throughout any place that they would be doing lighting or cooking or heat, or need to heat, or whatever the case may be?
This is Hazel Martinez. The other thing is to be careful with the use of candles. Because that, if people walk away and leave candles lit, and they can cause fires.
Yes. Yes, that's a great point. Anyone else?
Yes, also like putting the curtains behind the what we call any extension cord behind the radiators that heats up and cause fire. The what we call the fire department education unit, they normally put out some pamphlets and things on the website during this time of year regarding all these things, the holiday decorations and so forth. So I don't know if you all want to look into go into the website and see what they have there. Because in the past, they used to come, because this is time of year that there are a lot of fires. Thank God, so far this year, we haven't had that many fires, but a few years back, I remember when October started, there was quite a number of fires in the community. Then they came to the community offering different things. So I would suggest you guys go into the website and find out some information regarding cooking in the kitchen and all that, and make sure you check if you have the fire extinguisher. Make sure that it's up to date, because they have what you call it. They don't last forever, so you may want to make sure that it's in a working condition and it has not expired. That's one of
Good.
the things. Oh, and one more thing also is that remember that the Red Cross gives out those free smoke detector and carbon monoxide detectors. So you may want to check with the Red Cross to see if they could come and install one in your apartment or house for free. That,
All right. So did everybody get that? Again, FDNY, I was hoping that the liaison that we were supposed to have would have been on, and she would have given us a direct website to go to. But again, you can look online to say put in your browser FDNY holiday safety tips, etc., etc. And in particular, what Mr. T talked about, the carbon monoxide and smoke detectors, that's very important, because carbon monoxide is not something that you smell or taste. All you know is that you feel sleepy, you feel drowsy. These are some of the telltale signs that you might be having carbon monoxide poisoning. Best thing to do, open up your windows, get out of that space as soon as you can, because it's something that, again, the more sleepy, the more lethargic you feel. You don't know why you're feeling that way. If you don't have a detector to beep to tell you, you know, by the time it's too late to get away from that situation. So that's very important. And it's important to understand that you could also get carbon monoxide poisoning in your vehicle, right? If something happened and the exhaust fumes are coming back into your fresh air system. A lot of the newer vehicles have these access to fresh air systems that pull air from the outside, and there's no filter. If your filter is not good, you could potentially have that too, especially if you're sitting down in a running vehicle when it's cold. There is a possibility of that if your vehicle doesn't have the correct filters or the correct things to protect. So pay attention to these things, because a lot of these things happen now as we getting cold, as we getting into the colder months, into the winter months. So please pay attention to those things. So if no one else has anything to discuss on those safety items in terms of, fire safety and carbon monoxide, I will go into new business. I know, Mr. Tate, you wanted to bring up a couple items.
yes, a couple of things. One specifically is over here on Albany Avenue and Glenwood Road by the bus stop, which I mentioned in one of the, it's another meeting that I fell, I slipped and fell because I stepped, as a matter of fact, last month, community council meeting, I was coming and I got off the bus, as a step on the water, and when I step on that new sidewalk, whatever they call it, that they're putting on there, It was slippery, that red thing that I put in the corner, and I slipped and flipped over. Thank God no car was coming, because they would have run me over. But I did got a few bruises, and I have a big scar on my knee, and my hip was still hurting from that. However, up to today, when I was coming, there's a big puddle of water right there by the bus stop, and it's getting cold. It's going to freeze, and there's no way that anyone is going to be able to get off the bus without stepping on that ice. And that's I guess it's part of DOT when they pave the road, they didn't pave it right. So if you take a look at there from the corner avenue right by the liquor store until the pizza shop, past the pizza shop, it's a long way with nothing but water, puddle of water. It seems it's like there every day. I don't know where it comes from, but it's a dangerous situation. So that's something that we may need to talk to DOT or whoever has to do something about that, because it's a very, very dangerous situation right now.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
One more thing, what I have in mind is that the cars that are parked and the sidewalks. I know we've been discussing this, and we've been discussing it with the precinct, and the precinct has said why they are tentative about giving tickets. But today in the news, I don't know if anyone saw what was happening in Queens, that they had a similar situation, and there were tow trucks cleaning them out, moving them out, so people could walk around, bikes could come around, and so that some of that dangerous situation they had there. And I saw police tow trucks were moving them. So if it's good for Queens, I think it's good for New York, for Brooklyn too, because you walk on Utica Avenue, half the time you have to walk in the street. Same thing down Farragut Road, and I'm sure there are other places, Rogers Avenue, etc. You name it. So maybe it's something that we may need to push the police department more into that, and the elected officials. Because yes, the elected officials were quite involved in what I saw on TV in Queens today. So that we could use that as an example. Okay.
All right. Miss Martinez.
Yes, I have a number of concerns. And one of them is the fact that we have almost no enforcement in this community at all. This is like a free-for-all zone. We have abandoned vehicles all over the place with no plates or fake plates. Sanitation says that they refer that if the car has a certain value, they refer it to the precinct. I don't know what happens from there because the vehicle is still there. Never see any movement. We have cars double parked at night. There's no enforcement. If anything happens, people cannot, get out, or there's I mean, on Avenue D between East 56 and East 57th Street, there are cars that literally double park all night. We have trailer homes, and they're multiplying in the neighborhood outside of the Wyckoff Farmhouse on Avenue D and 57th Street, across from schools. I can't think that this is a very safe environment when you have people living in trailer homes. Nobody knows what goes on there until something happens. We have no enforcement when it comes to alternate side cleaning, not from anybody. No traffic, you call them, they don't respond. Not from the precinct, never responds. Not that there's any alternate side cleaning going on anyway, but at least they don't have that excuse. And then we have an abundance of mopeds all over that asylum seekers are using. They have no license plates. I think adult bicycle riders should have license plates and insurance, and all of these people should have insurance, just like vehicles, because they're on the sidewalks, they're driving in between pedestrians as you cross the street. I mean, they're just all over there on the right, the left. It doesn't even matter that there's a bike lane. And we have a lot of cars with no plates or fake plates, and sanitation says, well, we can't do anything. We're not going to bother because we know the plate is fake. Well, then where's the precinct? Because somebody has to tow these things away from here, and they're all
So,
over.
so what I could tell you from the last 67 precinct council, they are going by sectors, and to date, they have towed over 1,000 cars. Now, if you look at East Flatbush and the area that they cover, Community Board 17 is about 180,000 people. And even if they do try to get through all the sectors, the time is that's what we're looking at, because now you have less people. We have less NCOs covering the communities, less
You know what? We allow them, and we make so many excuses for them. They don't
yeah, but
even
it's
have
not
to make any
excuses, but
excuses. Yes, it is, because let me tell you, when they had NCOs, we still did. I see them posting where they tow cars from. It's never in Sector E. Nothing happens in Sector E. This is a free for all. Everybody doing whatever they want to do. Nobody stops at lights. Nothing.
well, I mean the control of that. All I could tell you is what was relayed to me. And I
Well,
asked them, I said, well, okay, what about the other areas, the other neighborhoods? Because people do come to that meeting and request and speak about that. And you have two detectives and you
yeah.
have some traffic enforcement. But all I could do is relate to them and see when is the next area that they will go and start to look at doing another tow tow away
Yeah. A tow
event,
operation.
tow operation, and we could just bring that to their attention about sector E.
Even when I send them emails
Mhm.
directly, and I still don't see enough of anything going on. I'm looking at the same vehicles. I don't see, and I mean, it's just always an excuse. And I mean, I want to see some evidence that some kind of work is being done, not just excuses all the time. Because
So
does our community have to accept that?
well, I'll relay that to them. I mean, I I could only go based off of, I don't know how they do what they do in terms of that, but I could relay that to the NCOs, relay that to the traffic, the folks in traffic, the
You
traffic
need to go
division.
in that traffic enforcement place and make them and show the board's presence, because other groups do it and they get what they want. I see that we're not getting anything. When they come to this community over here by Nazareth High School back here, they come to take a nap. I've even taken pictures of them.
Well, what I will do is I could relay that to them, and in a way, hopefully that we will get some a good response. Because I would not bring to the attention that the people napping there to cause any friction, or we just tell them we would like some better enforcement and some tickets and stuff being done, since there has been an ongoing problem here and it seems like it's not being addressed. So we'll reach out to them, because I think the command is right on Remsen and Church Avenue, or Ralph and Church Avenue. And I think they take care of that whole area. So I'll go and maybe ask them to do some enforcement, in particular in those areas. But the two operations, I'll reach out to either Detective Skinner, Detective Pierre, to look at and see when are they going to enforce over in the eastern side of East Flatbush, when they're going to start to enforce over there, and see what the response is. Miss Bennett, you had your hand up.
Yes, I do. I have a suggestion, and I agree with Hazel. This community takes a lot of guff off of that precinct. And it's not a matter of just making friction. We need to make friction like the other community boards do. Sitting on your hands gets nothing done. Where they make demands, we got to request. We need to make demands too. We need to have a special panel to bring them before us and tell them our demands. Tell them what we want. And if they don't do it, then it's time to get them removed and replace them with people who will do something. If you ever go to the 6-6 or the 7-0, they don't take this. They make sure the areas that have the problems are addressed immediately. This is the only community board that I've ever seen and sat in on that allows it to go on. You cannot say, well, we don't want friction. We need friction. As long as they know there's no friction, they do nothing. We must get together as a committee and put that to a vote. Do we want to have a panel to demand their presence in front of us and make a list? Hazel, you know that list. And get them to enforce it. And yes, I was at that precinct council meeting also. And I stood up, I put Skinner on the hot seat. So the cars with the covered rims and no plate, that's his domain. And it's a bouncing back to traffic. Guess what? It's his domain. And he's letting it slide. Skinner was collecting a paycheck. I'm sorry.
Well, you have to remember Skinner answers to superiors, right?
And guess what?
he's directed.
This answer to us. And that's
Well,
what
that
we're getting.
again,
This
but
is answer to us.
fair enough, fair enough. But remember, in everything, you have to be able to agitate, but don't come off in a way where
See
you
that?
have the person not choosing.
Already, the way that it's being done is not strong enough to imply anything other than, well, they're not going to do anything. They're just all talk. And that's what has been going on for year after year after year, and people are sick of it. I have complaints from, as you say, the eastern side, from East 93rd between A and B, about cars sitting there for years, not moving. And they sit next to a school, right off Avenue B. That's shameful. We need to do some agitating. Thank you.
All right, so no problem. I see Hazel Martinez has her hands up.
Because this is where you have to actually, unfortunately, in this community, if you don't fight for yourself, you can't depend on the board or anybody else because they're not advocating for the residents of this community, and at least not I've had the experience of other boards. I've been on this board a long time. I mean, involved with this board a long time. I've actually been on it, and I've seen other in the past that same precinct council meeting was much more effective. When you went there, before you left, your complaints were already being addressed. Now there's nothing going on. So when you go, I stopped going to it because I don't have time to waste.
All right. Well, we again, the best we could do is deliver and state what was said. I will in the next one, depending on when it is, I will reach out. I will reach out to the NCOs directly and see if I could get a direct communication line to the traffic section of the 67th precinct and start up a dialogue and ask them to enforce on the eastern side. The good thing your sector, so I could give them that sector. I could look over the sector list and kind of see which areas seem to be neglected and bring it to their attention and see what the response is. It's a request I could ask, and hopefully it is something that they come out and they enforce and try to get, and we get some positive response from them. That's the best that I could really do to kind of kind of push this hopefully in a direction. And if that
There
doesn't
has
work,
to
It has to be done by the committee.
There has to be some meeting where if they're not going to come to your meeting, and if they don't come to the public safety meeting, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I could see they have some emergency tonight based on Citizen Act, but I mean, they have to
No.
come to a meeting where they can, I mean, hear the concerns. Everybody feels, at least where I live, people feel that they're a waste of time. They feel like the precinct should, people tell me every day they should just close the precinct.
It's
Because
useless.
it doesn't respond to anything. If you come on Avenue D by Nazareth High School, you will see the conditions that it has been allowed to deteriorate there. We've got trailer homes, we have commuter buses, trucks, all kinds of things that shouldn't be there.
Are you aware
well,
that
I,
this type of a bus
I
not be on city streets? It has to be on private property. Are you aware that those trailer homes, those mobile homes cannot be in one area more than 24 hours? I know those laws. And Skinner knows I know those laws. But like I said, we need to sit down as a committee, not as one person, a committee, and have them brought before at least 4 or 5 of us to get together. And we make our demands heard. I'm not talking about, well, we got to be nice. I don't want to be nice to them. Being nice to them gets you nothing. I don't want to give them lip service. I don't want kissing service. I want them to get up and do their jobs. They're not doing it. And I know their jobs very well because I read their patrol guide. You have to know what you're dealing with before you go to them. Not going to be nice.
well, what
It
what
gets
what
you
what
nowhere.
well, what we could do is request for the past 3 meetings or so. Detective Skinner has been on the public safety meeting, and he comes to the general board meeting. I think the last meeting he was at the Commerce Committee. He was at the meeting, so sometimes he's doing 2 or 3 meetings. So I can't really say or fault him, but since I've been chair of this, he has been at each committee meeting.
Yeah, but what
That's
was
all.
meetings? Nothing. He gives lip service. I listen to
That's
him
it.
time and time. He
Well,
gives lip service.
I can't
And
say that. I can't say that.
I
I
can.
can't say that
Hazy can.
because my experience with both Officer Pierre and Detective Skinner,
There's nothing.
well, you can't say that. Let me finish.
You can.
On the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, there was an issue on Church Avenue in terms of a public safety issue where a gentleman walked into a public laundromat and just sat down inside there. Sat down for about 4 or 5 hours. The
I heard
gentleman,
everything.
the gentleman came, and when he saw me, he didn't know I was the chair of the committee board or anything like that, of the chair of the public safety. But he told me, listen, man, I have somebody inside there. The gentleman threatened me, tell me he want to fight if I ask him to move. He's not moving until the cops come. He actually told me that he called the cops maybe about an hour before. I got on the phone with Detective Skinner. Detective Skinner, within 5 to 10 minutes, the cops that was supposed to come ended up coming, and they rectified, dealt with the problem. So for me, I could say that was successful.
But when
I
it
don't
comes
know.
to violent, they will come. But when we're talking about cars and what we call public interest, they don't come.
Right. So what I will do is relay that information in the next 67 council meeting and ask them as to when they would start to enforce in the eastern side of the district.
Well, if you remember, I was there too, and they said they can't divulge when they're going to be coming. They don't want
No
people.
doubt, they don't want them to know, but I will bring it to their attention that hopefully they could make Sector E a priority there. And I could ask them about that. If we don't get a response, I think the next time in the next meeting, if it's not in December, maybe in January, Detective Skinner or Detective Pierre might be attending the meeting. We could relay that to them again. But to call a meeting in terms
Yes.
of getting access to them from the community board, we would have to write a letter, whatever the case may be, and see if that will be, if that can be accommodated.
Well, I
That's
can
what-
see why it can't. I see Inspector Saliba at every event, every partying event they have in the community or a political event. So he can't come to where he's supposed to be supervising because I've had a conversation with him at a board meeting at about, because he said he hadn't seen me in a while. I told him because nothing is happening. And I've had a conversation with him and he told me at that point he was going to himself come and look at my complaints. I've never heard from him since.
All right, Hazel, let me ask you something. How many years have we been begging for this to happen?
Oh yeah, I'm not begging them anymore. I'm writing to Police Plaza, even I file complaints everywhere because I am tired of the nothing that we get in this community. And the mayor is about to cut services, and how much less than nothing could we have? Because our quality of life is less than zero, if that's possible.
Quality of life is deteriorating.
It's
Nobody wants to
nothing.
live a dump.
That's why people move, because they're tired of the nothing that we get.
What did Saliba say at the meeting? He said he's more interested in the people who own the beautiful cars than the residents. He felt sorry.
Well, he said, and you remember, he said he's between a rock and a hard place because he goes and told
himself.
But he said that the reason why he said that is because if he goes and tows those vehicles, the unsuspecting people that left their vehicle with the automobile, with the mechanic, and you come back, say if it's your vehicle per se, right? And you know you left the vehicle in the care of the mechanic, but it gets towed. And now when you come back to get your vehicle, the mechanic tell you, well, oh, I don't know what happened to your vehicle. What would you do?
Mechanic is
It's the
legally
mechanic's responsibility. That is the
Again.
mechanic's responsibility.
under law
Again.
is their responsibility, not mine.
Yes, it is.
Put
No.
it this way. Put it
You
this
wanna-
way.
Lawyer?
Again, but no, you have to fight that in court, right?
No.
Do you have the money to fight that in court?
Your mechanic is responsible for what happens to your vehicle when you leave it with them. And that is not, and that should not be, the police officer's job is not to consider that. His job is to do what the law requires.
That's correct.
Enforce the law.
He works in law
Right.
enforcement, not jackass.
Because if I left my car somewhere, they don't have a problem ticketing that. But they seem to have sympathy for asylum seekers, for all these other people, except the taxpayers who pay in their salary.
And then he has no care for the residents. In other words, this removes him from doing his job. That excuse removes him. He don't have to do his job because he put himself in that rock. He's not in a rock in a hard place. He's playing BS.
All right. Well, again, always remember that we want these people to do stuff for us, and it's all.
You're doing me a favor. I'm paying their salary.
No, again, that may be true, but at the
And
same
they don't do
time,
anything anyway.
They cannot refuse.
again, it's not refusing, but they could ignore you. That's what I'm saying.
They do
So
anyway.
Title, listen,
Well,
his job title.
that's what I'm saying.
This
So here what
reason,
we
that can
here what
refuse.
we're gonna do. Here what we're
Do you
gonna do.
know how many 311 complaints that we send in this community to the precinct, and within 2 minutes it is closed, and they claim they came. We all have cameras. We don't see them. So what does it need to lie? Number one.
Those cameras say they're lying. I go with the camera any day.
Okay,
Yes,
may I say something? I've been waiting.
Go ahead, Mr. Tate. Go ahead.
Question for you.
Yeah, no. Yes, well, I raised my hand and then I heard Hazel mention something. I was going to bring up the point about the extra cut, that 5% cuts that the mayor is doing is going to make things worse. But Hazel already brought that up. But I also want to mention one thing about, and not to defend Detective Pierre and Skinner, okay? But we do have to be very careful that we do not take it like a personal against them, because no matter what they may want to do, they can't do it on their own. You know, they could promise something, but when they take it back to the commanding officer, or the commanding officer take it to Brooklyn South, they may not be able to do what they want to do. Okay, so instead of getting personal with them, let's demand, but do not accuse them, especially in their face, about not doing something, because they can't do it unless they are given the okay to do so. Okay,
Right.
because that's one thing. They can't do anything on their own. And one thing to remember is that, and again, I'm not defending them because I know there's a lot of a lack of enforcement in this area, but they are sworn to the police department. So if I'm right now, because I'm in the situation right now that I don't have a what we call it, an NCO. I had two of the best NCOs in the city. I was so proud of them, but they're gone now because they got one got promoted to sergeant. Yes, and the other one was moved over. They were very, very good, but now because of these things, I don't have one. And why? They claim because the city, one police plaza, decided that they are going to take it from under the prison. And no, let me put it that way. They, one police plaza is request police officer from all the different precincts and reassign them to different places, especially, you know, like, I hate to say this, but which is true, to assign them to protect the Jewish establishment and all that. So they're taking people from our prison, and now with the holidays and the war in Israel, it's even worse. So things are going to get worse. So I would say demand, but let's do it in a respectful way, that we are not personally attacking those who could try to speak for us in there. Because if we give something, and I think Mr. Lewis mentioned that you don't want them, you don't want to be on the bad side. Because, they could say, why am I going to speak up for them if they're going to chastise me anyway? But just let's keep in mind, let's push them, but do not get personal when we are pushing them. Tell them, try a little harder. This is not getting done. And because right now on my block, there's and the traffic enforcement officers are the same, have issues too. Because I know about 3 cars on my block that you wake up in the morning, they're on the wrong side of the street. They don't have their plates on. People cannot clean sanitation if they come or when they come, can't clean, and then they can't get them ticket. Why can't they throw them away? Because if someone comes and see 3 cars with no license plate, because what they do, they take off the license plate at night and then put it back in the morning. So that's an issue that it happened before when Officer No Sergeant Coleslaw Kenny, as I used to call him, he was here. He worked with that, but now it's back, and I'm sure I'm not the only black that experienced. This is not the only one that black that's experiencing that. So that's one of the things that I think the traffic enforcement officers who ever come around, I see park by the hydrant, park over there. Because my block is 43rd Street between Foster and Farragut. It's a joke. They park on I should say one of the hydrants. It's a joke. It's a parking space. Same thing on Farragut Road. They're not enforcing, so that's why they use it as that. So I think the police department and the traffic enforcement officers, when they come by and they see something like that, they should report it, because I would think they would have a little more clout than us just complaining and complaining. That's my opinion.
All right. So duly noted. So again, that's a very good point. Let's not make this thing personal as a personal attack on the folks. There is a chain of command. They have to follow that. That's why I'm saying I could deliver that. I could request and ask if there could be a little more attention paid to the eastern side, in particular the areas that were discussed. Again, what we could do next is draft up a letter and have the secretary put something together that we could send directly to the precinct, directly to the things. Because again, you need to have a paper trail, right? You need to have that is the only way that could be said that this was done or this has been requested and there is a paper trail. We have to do that, right? And these are the things maybe that our other sister community boards, that's what they do. They have a paper trail. So now when they are not getting things done, they could go back and say, oh, okay, we have a mail that was sent this date. We have an email that was sent on this date. We have this was done and that. And then now the politician and the other people could get involved and say, well, okay, based on the correspondence or the lack of correspondence, you guys didn't do X, Y, and Z. Right? So again, maybe this is the way that we'll have to do that. So again, I will bring it up to Detective Skinner, Detective Pierre, as to what is the protocol with the traffic, or if I get a direct line to the traffic, in particular, the sergeant or the commanding officer over the traffic division, and see what the coordination could be with that. And if that's not good enough, then we put the letter together, or we could put the letter together now with the other correspondence that Ms. Hazel Martinez has done over the years and all the other things. If you have those things, that would be great to share with us so we could send those as supporting documents of how many years that you have made efforts to try to get help or get something done and it hasn't been done. And that will be damning evidence enough for them to maybe make that sector E, make that area a priority. But I think that this is the only way I think that we could really maybe try to force their hand by creating a paper trail.
I would also,
Mhm.
I would also point out what's happening in Queens with the traffic to put a little more pressure on them, because if they could do it in Queens, then it could be down here too. because
Because
they cleaned out. They as soon as they started towing, they all those what they call it illegally parked cars
yeah,
were
sorry.
gone. If you get a chance, take a look at Channel 2 tonight at 11 o'clock. They probably repeat it, or I'll try to get it online and forward it. Because if they're doing it there, they could do it over here too. So that's like what they may not consider it a top priority, but it is a top priority. 'Cause it's it's the public safety issue.
Yeah, it's a quality of life issue.
I'm not opposed to your suggestions, but I just want you to know the other communities don't have to work that hard.
I
They have elected officials that actually work.
no, but you got to remember, there's a lot of
I know.
preliminary stuff that happens. It doesn't just happen that way. You might have somebody walk around with a petition or something signed and come and tell them that, okay, we have 100 or 200 people stating that this is a problem. You understand what I'm saying? So it may look as though they don't do anything, but you might be surprised, because I have personally seen that and been in
And
those
who was doing
neighborhoods.
it?
A
That's
little
correct.
old white lady, a little old lady
Not
would
not
come around.
not the politicians, not the politicians in our community.
No.
Hazel.
What I'm saying, there is preliminary work that is done that we might not see. So that's what I'm saying. It might be to our benefit to maybe look at those things or reach out to the folks and ask them what they are doing to create that type of response or immediate response.
You know,
That's what I'm saying.
a lot of that has been done already. We did a lot of petitioning. People call these elected officials every single day. I worked in some of their offices, so I know that, and they get those complaints. They just don't address them
No.
in this
Hazel?
community. I mean, and and these same politicians who cover other areas, you let them when they wanted a light on Kings Highway and 14th Street or whatever it is, they hop to it right away.
ASAP.
But when it comes to us, it doesn't happen. And we make excuses for them. But people, it's not that work isn't done here. People sign petitions every day. A lot of that has gone on. There just has been no movement beyond that. Unless
because-
you really have to work for yourself in this community because you're not getting anything from the board or anywhere else.
Because Hazel, George, where do I work? George, am I not? I'm on the inside of PD. That's what you're not understanding. And I'm telling you, they are ignoring this community. You have somebody or a member of this committee who's on the inside of that organization. And I am telling you, they are not doing their jobs. I know their jobs.
So okay. So what is the point of action to get them to do their jobs? What it is that you do?
We have to get together, as I said, as a committee, and these 5 of us on a committee, and bring them before us. And we don't ask. We get 3 on
And then
make our demands.
I
And tell them if
understand.
these demands are not met, let me finish. We go to the commissioner and tell we want these people transferred like other community boards do, and other communities do. If you don't do what they want in their community, you're out of that precinct. They transfer you. Why do you think they didn't take Saliba? They said he's supposed to be going somewhere. Send him here. I know what's going on. That's why Skinner know better than a lot of me. He dresses you guys and he gets away with it. Me, no. And as
Well,
for
okay.
Mr.
What I'm saying, Miss Bennett, after that is done, and you go and you change somebody and you put them out and you change somebody, then what is the next recourse after that if that doesn't work?
Whether whoever comes in, have in there and know that we are not going to sit on our laurels. We are going to make demands and that's being met. We have a standard to keep. Right now, we have no standard. The problem
All right. So, well, what we'll have to do again,
is
we will keep.
we need to find make that friction. That's what makes them afraid of them. They're not afraid of us.
All right. So, well, again, it has been a lively discussion. There is, many ways of dealing with the situation. Again, it will take, everybody making an effort to be at the different places that need to be done and to continue to do. And again, as was stated, we don't want this to become a personal attack on anybody.
Not personal, it's
If we
about
don't-
job.
Yeah,
not-
I understand that, but we don't want to name anybody personally. We're just looking at the overall way the community has been treated, and we
Yeah.
keep it general like that. And it should be in a way where, again, as I have always said, and Mr. Tate said, we could do the thing in a manner where, yes, we are assertive, we are aggressive, but we are not disrespectful. That's my main thing, Aaron.
Let me
That's
ask
my
you,
main thing.
how they're being disrespectful to us?
Again, Miss Bennett, again, we still, if we could fix our own problems and we didn't need them, and we didn't need to ask them for anything, that's
No.
fine. Once you have to request or ask something, you're not in the position to try to fight them down or be disrespectful in
Yeah, you don't get it. I'm trying to explain to you, I work with these people directly. I know their policies.
not make
I work
not make it
police-
personal. We could just say we are not pleased with how we have been treated, whoever that is supposed to go to, and we kind of leave it at that overall. And then we want them to enforce or put more attention or prioritize specific areas that have been neglected. I think that is the best way in order to go about it so that we could get something done. Because if we go out and tell them they have to do this and they must do that, yeah, they can, but they could make all the protocols or the access that we have to them, they could make that more difficult for us.
No, they
That's
can't.
what I'm trying to.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. We are legally their bosses. We
All right.
there is. We are the top of the food chain, not them. And that's what you're not understanding. So when we make those demands, either they do it or we go over their heads and tell Madry, who I personally know, he's not a good fit, we need somebody else. They'll just change him, that's all. And that's not a bad thing. We need change. We need to shake it up.
All right. Well, again, if that has to be done, that will be discussed at a later time to see if that is one of the areas we will pursue if we don't get what we need done. I see Hazel Martinez hand up, and then
Okay.
if anyone else.
I have a DOT issue. Is that something you can entertain here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. In 2016, a resident on East 58th Street complained because there's a pool of water. That pool of water exists today in 2023. At that time, DOT came out and gave everyone on the block a summons to repair their sidewalk because that was supposed to repair the ponding situation. The so everyone, they came, I walked with Miss Fraser and all, and a lot their finance people and everything. And we went from house to house and they went over everybody's, and everyone had their sidewalk repaired. However, that did never resolve the situation. In matter of fact, the ponding has now grown to several other houses. And it actually, when it rains, especially heavily, the water just floods into the person's lower level. And because they have one of those sloping in driveways. So, and I followed up with DOT to find out what was going, what was this, that the situation was still existed, and they were going to send out a team. We on our walk around we were doing a rezoning walk, and then we looked. Actually, as a matter of fact, it was Allison that told us the street actually is higher on the two ends and dips right by this person's house. Anyway, I followed up with Claudette Workman. She's the she's the deputy commissioner on DOT for Brooklyn. And anyway, so she sent out 2 teams now again recently. All of a sudden now they have realized that this is beyond what they can do, and the street really needs some capital restructuring. And I don't know what the board can do to hasten this, but it could take a long time. These people, it's been 7 years. Everyone's
So,
very annoyed
so
because
again, no, well, so then, again, this was again the capital improvement, and what we'll have to do is that now that DOT, do you have that in writing from them?
yeah, I have an
Stating that
email.
you have an email. Okay, good. So if you could forward that to me.
I'll send it to you because I did send it to Miss Fraser the day I
Mhm.
got it. But
Okay,
I don't
good.
know your email.
Okay,
What is it?
my own is very long. CB
Okay.
17.
Mhm.
As a matter of fact, let me put it in the chat then, and you could get it from there. It might be easier that way. Let me put it in the chat so that everyone could see it and be able to yeah, so that everybody could get it, and any complaints, any issues, you could send it to me. In the beginning of January, at the January meeting, I'm gonna try to set up what you call it again, a WhatsApp group, which can literally, send in information at the time of, of any issues, and we might be able to send that information out a little bit quicker, so that every day, or every, whenever there's an issue, or if something hasn't been done, a reminder could be put in. We could find out information, so we don't have to wait till the end of the month to address some of the issues. So I think that should be helpful. I'm gonna, talk to Kwame Afre, the chair, who he did a WhatsApp group for land use. And I think, that is something that I think a lot of people have responded to. So I think I'll do something similar for public transportation, and for public safety and transportation. And then we could continue the dialogue and kind of be able to relay information, you know, on time, at the time it happens too, so that we could relay and keep the conversation going. But definitely we'll get that email, and then we'll see how to put that in the capital expense budget for 2024, right? Because remember, we have to do this. Although this thing went in for now, we have to do it again, coming down and start to discuss that, earlier, to make sure that goes in and is put in as part of the capital expense. Because it's very disappointing to know, after they came and did this and tell you guys to do that, then somebody else come and tell you that should have been on a capital expense, and that should have been on the capital expense maybe since 2016 or 2017. But again, you're waiting for the city to make that determination, which is kind of challenging. So, again, it's holding everybody responsible and
Yeah.
at least, and trying to really navigate all of the red tape stuff. That's what this is. A lot of red tape, a lot of bureaucracy, but again, this is what we will have to do, and this is what we are doing as a community board to try to navigate this red tape bureaucratic stuff. So
I'm
again,
gonna send you sorry.
uh-huh.
Sorry. I'm gonna send you a series of emails so that you can follow a
Okay.
trail.
Very
Okay.
good, very good. And that will be very helpful now, because now once we set a letter, we could either attach those or make reference to those, so so to see if they will acknowledge that those things were received. And if not, then well, like anything else, then well, we have to bump it up to the next level to get a response. And this is great, Ms. Martinez, that you have that, and you've been very proactive in doing it. And it just goes to show that more of us will have to be the same way in terms of having a paper trail, in terms of having that, so that we could push the folks that don't take us seriously. Sometimes the only thing they look at is paper. That paper trail is the only thing that makes them or may force them to do what they need to do, and maybe force them to get what we need to get in the community. So again, I appreciate everybody that was on the meeting. I don't know if anybody has any other new business. If not, then I will ask for someone to adjourn the meeting.
George Tate make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:59 p.m.
Okay.
Hazel Martinez.
All right, so it's seconded. So again, I thank everybody for coming out to this meeting, especially maybe on short notice, especially about the change. We'll be a little more forthcoming with that information a lot earlier, so that we'll make sure that everyone knows the change and knows what's going on. And again, thank you for attending, and everybody have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Good night. Thank you. Good night, everyone.